Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so much for joining in. And a God morning, afternoon, and evening to you. Thanks, everyone, so much for dropping by. It's another day. We're alive. Congratulations. You're still alive. And according to Bruno Groening, that means there's still the opportunity for growth or learning. Bruno Groening said that, if someone reached the point that our time of leaving this body, our time of death, is actually ordained by God. Already, at the moment of birth, the time of death is ordained. And I'm looking for the exact passage. And that if someone gets to the point where they're no longer able to learn anymore, then what happens, what Bruno Groening called an early recall. So on the one hand, this is just an interesting, I think that's right here. No. So on the one hand, that's kind of an interesting little spiritual tidbit. But if we look at it on a deeper level, that means that learning here, specifically spiritual learning and growth, is really the whole purpose of life. And if there's no hope that a person can learn anymore, then it's time for that particular lifetime to be over. So let's really take seriously our time here on earth and really endeavor to make the best use of our time. And to really really cherish our time here and make it seriously. An early recall means the person, thank you. That was the one piece I left out. That means that the person would actually die earlier than their predestined time. And Bruno Groening said the knowledge that the time of our departure is already set. He said if we really take that to heart, then we can lose our fear of death. Because, many people are deeply afraid of death. And Bruno Groening said if you recognize that your time of death is already set, then there's no need to worry about it. And then an early recall is an instance in which someone has gotten to the point where they're just not able to learn anymore. And this life would be completed before the assigned time. So I was hoping to find the exact passage and I haven't yet. So we'll see. Maybe by the end of the meeting I'll find it. Here it is. Good. This is from the book Powers of the Spirit, page 116. Highly recommend this book if you don't have it. You can get it from the Bruno Groening Stiftung. We all have a task that we received before we were born and which we have to accomplish in the span of life that has been made available to us. The length of a human life is predetermined by God. But if someone, from a spiritual point of view, does not carry any readiness within themselves to learn, then there comes an early recall. And that means that the person concerned must mentally, spiritually, and physically repeat this in a later existence. Such a recall can also happen, however, when other people or the environment of the person concerned renders any further stay on earth meaningless. In this case, all of the people who caused this become responsible, and they must sooner or later make good the wrong they have done. So let's really take to heart that we're still alive. So there's still an opportunity for all of us to complete the task that we came here to this earth to do. And there's still an opportunity for us to learn and grow. And again, all of that was from Powers of the Spirit, page 116. So now let's ask for God and Bruno Groening's help in doing this, in learning and growing and accomplishing our task that we came here to do. So to do this, please sit with your legs uncrossed, feet flat on the floor, hands on your legs, palms facing upwards. Back in a relaxed position, not slouched, but not stiff either, just a relaxed upright position without leaning against the back of your chair, if possible. And then please close your eyes. And hand over all burdens, all worries, all fears to God, to a spiritual helper you trust, such as Bruno Groening. All illnesses, for certain. Let's hand over all illnesses. And then, having handed over our burdens, let's ask and have the will to receive the healing energy of God, the limitless energy of God, and observe our bodies, having the will, the intention to take this energy in. Noticing what you feel. Taking in the good. Asking for help, help to learn, help to accomplish our task. Noticing what you feel, taking in the good. Let's hand over all sense of arrogance, all senses, all thoughts about self reliance and not needing God. And take on the attitude that we are children of God and utterly need God. Just inviting the energy in, filling ourselves up. So, to anyone who's new, I invited you to just sit with your eyes closed and continue to tune in. And I'm gonna read that whole section where I read that part from. Starts on page 115, Powers of the Spirit. Make use of your time. Making use of your time means making use of God, for time is God. It is He who gives us this time so that we can tread the path that leads to Him on this divine earth of His. Yes, friends, only here in your bodies are you able, with goodwill, to accomplish your goal. Since on the other side, that is, in the spiritual world beyond this one, where you can't call any body your own anymore, it is much, much harder. So you should be grateful for every day that you are allowed to live. But always live in such a way that you are willing to learn while you are here and serve that which is of God. We all have a task that we received before we were born, and which we have to accomplish in the span of life that has been given, that has been made available to us. The length of a human life is predetermined by God. But if someone, from a spiritual point of view, does not carry any readiness within them to learn, then there comes an early recall. And that means that the person concerned must mentally, spiritually, and physically repeat this in a later existence. Such a recall can also happen, however, when other people or the environment of the person concerned renders any further stay on earth meaningless. In this case, all the people who caused this become responsible and must sooner or later make good the wrong they have done. This is why I must warn you, my dear friends, beware of prejudicing anyone or of not thinking them capable of anything, since by doing so, you are taking from them the possibility of achieving what they are capable of, and which in actual fact belongs to their task in life. Even when we are unjustly suspicious of another person, we make ourselves guilty and thus burden our own future destiny. It is always the case that every limitation we place on ourselves and on another comes from evil and serves evil. For no one has the right to pass sentence on another human being. A human being is never in a position to judge their neighbor, and so it can only ever be a condemnation. Only God Himself can easily judge, can really judge everyone. He is always just and helps us in every situation. All we have to do is be ready to receive His help and grace without disturbing the divine power with any selfish demands. Wow. So let's spend a little time and let in the divine power, and then maybe we'll look at that in a little more detail. Observing the body, taking in the good, noticing what you feel. asking God and Bruno to help us make the best use of time. Hmm. So, so here Bruno Groening points out that we're allowed to live here on this earth, and that it's a profound spiritual opportunity. And elsewhere he says, here he says, yes, friends, only here in your bodies are you able with goodwill to accomplish your goal. Since on the other side, that is, in the spiritual world beyond this one, where you can't call any body your own anymore, it is much, much harder. In other places, Bruno Groening speaks about the gift of having a body. And, you know, many of us on the spiritual path, I used to, before finding Bruno Groening, I was like, oh, a body, such a burden. But Bruno Groening points out that it's such a gift. For example, he teaches that if we've taken on evil, that the body becomes afflicted. But he points out on the other side, without a body, if we've taken on evil, we don't get rest. Here in this world, we get 8 hours of sleep every night. We get freedom from the burden, from evil. But Bruno Groening says in the other world, without a body, there's no sleep. We have to contend with and be with that evil all the time. So that's just one example of why having a body is so precious. Let's reflect on that. Taking in the good, asking that this beautiful body be nourished. That we let go of, let's hand over all thoughts and all beliefs that the body is bad or a burden or evil or sinful. Bruno Groening taught the exact opposite, that it's a gift from God and that the body helps us so much. Hmm. Bruno will continue. So you should be grateful for every day that you are allowed to live. Wow, not just every day that we're alive, every day that we're allowed to live here on this beautiful earth in these beautiful bodies. Let's take a moment and find our own way to be grateful for not just the gift of life, earthly life, and the privilege. So, what are we doing here on this earth? Well, Bruno gives us um, a couple very clear um, indicators of what that is. He said, "But always live in such a way that you are willing to learn while you are here, and serve that which is of God. We all have a task that we received before we were born, and which we have to accomplish in the span of a lifetime. So, according to Bruno Groening, we're here to learn, to serve the good, and to accomplish a specific task. But please don't take Bruno Groening's word for it. Ask yourself, your conscience, which Bruno Groening said that's where God lives. If this is true, if the purpose of earthly life is to learn and serve the good and complete a task, task that's specific to each one of us. Hmm. So we've been allowed to have one more day of life. We've been gifted the grace of one more day of life. And what to do with that day? Well, on a very abstract level, I believe life, according to Bruno Groening's teachings, is all really just about two things: being connected to God and being guided by God. So those are maybe the abstract principles that Bruno Groening invites us to live by. On a little bit more specific level, what to do with our time? Well, Bruno Groening points it out right here, um, to to serve that which is good, to learn, and to complete a task that we've been given. And then maybe let's back up a moment to the more abstract. It's also to fill ourselves up with good energy so that we're able to do these things, able to serve the good, able to learn, able to work towards completing our task. Hmm. So I think I'm anticipating looking more at this passage, and let's begin to wrap up. So I'd like to thank everyone who dropped by live and everyone who watched this or listened to this. Hmm. Let's take a moment and once again hand over everything not good, all worries, all fears, all illnesses. Let's take on gratitude that we're alive. Let's ask that we be filled with good energy so we can complete this day with gratitude and with joy. Let's ask for clarity about our task. Let's ask for ourselves, please, the willingness to turn around, the willingness to follow God even more and serve the good even more. Guidance how to do so. And please, for ourselves, grace and mercy, freedom from everything not good. Please, for those who are near and dear to our hearts. Please, for harmony in our households, in our towns, in our states, in our countries, and then on our planet, our mutual home, our beautiful Mother Earth. Let's ask for any specific situations, any projects we're working on. Let's ask for everyone and everything on this earth, the highest blessing for them. And let's take our stand in faith that the good will prevail in each one of our lives individually, in everyone's life, and on this earth as a whole. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, dear ones, thank you so much for joining in. Take care. I look forward to seeing and feeling you all very soon.